Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, Barakata. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, double honors to the apostles, and now there's a great millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video, and I'm going to be using an article from the economiccollapseblog.com titled New Vehicle Sales Collapse and Pending Home Sales Plunge as America's Economic Slowdown Accelerates. This brings me to my first precept in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 3 through 4. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders, and grinding means work in the Bible, cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So there's going to be no Make America Great Again. The U.S. economy has been on life support since the 2008 recession, and with each passing day, we're getting closer and closer to that final Great Depression, which is going to completely tank the U.S. economy. And you've been hearing pundits in the news talk about how things are getting better and the economy's getting stronger, but if you've been listening to their tune lately, they're starting to bring up talks of the next recession and how it's going to be worse than the last. And we're in the beginning stages of that right now, as we'll see with this article, because as we just read from that title, it said new car sales are dropping, as well as a drop in home buyership, because people don't have the good jobs or money to buy those luxuries anymore. A lot of people are in the gig economy working as private contractors in Uber or Lyft, for example, and you've also got college-educated people that can't find jobs. You may have an engineer who is drowning in student loan debt and is lucky just to have a job at Best Buy. And that's a very spiritual picture right there. And I saw Lucifer cast out of heaven like a lightning strike. In late 2018, the bad economic news just keeps rolling in. At a time when consumer confidence is absolutely soaring, the underlying economic numbers are clearly telling us that enormous problems are right around the corner. Of course, this is usually what happens just before a major economic downturn. Most people in the general population feel like the party can go on for quite a while longer, but meanwhile, the warning signs just keep becoming more and more obvious. I have been hearing from people that truly believe that the U.S. economy is strong, but if the U.S. economy really was in good shape, would new vehicle sales be collapsing? This brings me to my next precept in 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 21. Behold, victuals, such as provisions, or what have you, shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And what do we just read? People think that this party is going to go on for a little bit longer, or that the U.S. economy is strong. They think that just because food is relatively cheap at the supermarkets, or other little luxuries are at a relatively good price, that this ship's not going to sink. But as it says, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, because like a thief in the night, all hell's about to break loose. There's going to be an economic collapse and martial law, and people are just going to be running around out here like chickens with their heads cut off, because there's going to be no electricity. Those supermarkets are going to get ransacked in the first couple of days, and people are going to go back to that dog-eat-dog mentality where they're killing each other for a grain of overcooked rice. This further brings me to Ecclesiasticus chapter 11, verse 25. In the day of prosperity, there is a forgetfulness of affliction. Oh, the economy's strong, this party's going to go on forever, and in the day of affliction, there is no more remembrance of prosperity. But as it said, even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, all in the twinkling of an eye. You people aren't going to remember the good times once it's your ass out here in these streets. According to the latest estimates released by Edmunds, new vehicle sales for September are expected to collapse both on a monthly basis and a year-over-year basis. The company predicted that 1,300,000 392,000, 434,000 new cars and trucks will be sold in the U.S. in September, which makes for an estimated seasonally adjusted annual rate of 17 million. This will be a 5.4 decrease from the last month and an 8.3% drop from September of last year. And what is there, about 320 million Americans, and they're only expecting to make $17 million in new car sales? That's pathetic. That's just a sign of the times that the grinding is definitely ceasing. As this guy says, those are absolutely terrible numbers. And this news comes after all of the major automakers had already revised earnings guidance lower. The following comes from Zero Hedge. The drop in sales capped another rough month for the auto industry, during which Detroit's car makers all revised their earnings guidance lower, and Ford embarked on a 5-year restructuring plan. Earlier this week, we reported that Ford's CEO claimed that President Trump's auto tariffs had cost the company $1 billion in profits. Sadly, this may just be the very beginning of the auto industry's troubles. It is now being projected that if this trade war with China continues, U.S. automakers could see total sales fall by 2 million vehicles per year. Retaliation by China to tariffs already in place have made some American auto exports uncompetitive and could collapse U.S. auto sales by 2 million vehicles per year, resulting in the loss of up to 715,000 American jobs and a devastating hit of as much as $62 billion to the U.S. GDP, as we read in Ecclesiastes 12, because the grinding is low. As per NBC News, the Center for Automotive Research warns that the auto industry could receive a devastating blow if Section 232 declares foreign-made cars and car parts a threat to national security, and that in itself is just complete idiocy, because the U.S. is a consumer-based economy. A lot of parts from other countries come into this place, and if they do that, that's just going to further exacerbate the problem and lead to more jobs loss. And not only does the auto industry use foreign-made parts, but even the U.S. military. You've got some ships that use Chinese-made computer chips, and that's going to cease as well if they declare Section 232. Kristen Drizzik, a vice president and senior economist at Carr, said if Section 232 is enacted, it could trigger a downward cycle in the auto industry not seen since the last Great Recession. And needless to say, the thousands of companies that do business with those large automakers would also lose sales and jobs. Once these downturns get rolling, the domino effect can be absolutely devastating. On Thursday, we also learned that pending home sales plunged in August. Pending home sales plunged in August, dropping 1.8% MOM, almost 4 times worse than expected, to its lowest since October 2014, and fell 2.5% YOY, the 4th month of annual declines in a row. If the U.S. economy truly is strong, then why have we seen 4 monthly declines in a row? And it isn't just one part of the nation that is experiencing a downturn. According to Bloomberg, all 4 major regions of the country showed a decline. As Bloomberg notes, the decline, which is broad-based across all 4 regions, shows that higher mortgage rates, rising prices, and a shortage of affordable homes continue to squeeze buyers. Existing home sales in August matched the lowest in more than 2 years, while revisions to new home sales showed a slower market than thought, according to previous figures. Homes are not selling like they once were. There's a reason why 1 out of 4 home sellers in America slashed their prices in August. Demand is way down, and that strongly indicates that an economic slowdown is here. When it looks like the economy is headed for a major downturn, a lot of people go out and stock up on gold, and it turns out that is precisely what global central banks have been doing. Central banks have emerged as some of the biggest buyers of gold this year, buying a total of 264 metric tons this year to reach the highest level in 6 years, according to analysts at Macquarie. Of course, the Federal Reserve and other central banks are trying to assure us that everything is going to be okay, but meanwhile, their actions are telling us a different story. And you've also got elites fleeing the country, going to places like New Zealand and building underground bunkers because they know all hell's about to break loose out here. And with them talking about buying gold, that's not going to save them in that day or any of you other people out there that are stockpiling silver and gold thinking that you're going to weather this coming depression. Because as it says in Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 19, they shall cast their silver in the streets and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh, because the only thing that's going to help you to navigate through these coming terrible times is to have the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai on you. You're not going to be able to bribe somebody with gold or silver or buy goods from them if they don't have any goods and all they're looking for is food or women. They're just going to take what you have by force and cast that gold and silver in the streets. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. And also to you rich men out there, you elites that may find your way to this video, your riches aren't going to save you as well. As it says in James chapter 5, I'm going to start at verse 1. Go to now ye rich men, such as the central bankers, for example, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Because you elites think that you'll be able to hide in your bunkers with your wealth and that you're going to weather the storm and just be able to come back onto the surface and things will go back as usual because you'll have all that wealth. But that's not going to be the case, because once those nukes start flying and Yahushua returns to save the elect, it's game over. That means the children of Israel are back in their power seat, and we're going to go into your underground bunkers, your undersea bases, or your low orbit space stations and get you and take your riches from you. Much of the world is already in the midst of a crippling economic crisis, and every indicator seems to be pointing to the fact that the U.S. is heading down the same path. Even without any extenuating circumstances, the truth is that we are way overdue for a recession. But when you throw in political chaos, exploding debt levels, an emerging market currency crisis, and a trade war between the two largest economies on the entire planet, you definitely have a recipe for a perfect storm. If you do not believe that this trade war is a big deal, you should consider the words of former Reagan administrative official David Stockman. Folks, it's not a skirmish. On the scale of trade warfare, we are now at DEFCON 2. And remember, there's that saying. First there's trade wars, then currency wars, then world wars, which are at the door of World War III. At this very moment, the U.S. is taxing $250 billion of Chinese imports, or nearly half the total flow, and China is taxing $110 billion of its imports from the U.S., or 85% of the flow. And it's soon going full Monty. The Donald has repeatedly threatened to tariff the remaining $267 billion of Chinese imports if Beijing retaliates against his $200 billion, but self-evidently they already have. The U.S. economy has found a way to muddle through for the past couple of years, and we should all hope that the economy can find a way to navigate through these current problems, which they're not. But the storm clouds are growing more ominous with each passing day, and at some point time will run out very shortly. So as you brothers can see, this is just a sign of the times. We're getting closer and closer to the end of this final captivity and the beginning of our eternal rulership. So you should really be in the spirit pushing this word as hard as you can while we still have the time to do so. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. I'm going to say a Baba Ball, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.